best smartphones under $200 or 16,000 Indian rupees. Realme C21Y. Realme C21Y has a Unisoc T610 processor with a low frequency but with productive Cortex A75 cores. You will not experience discomfort in everyday tasks, and even most of the games will go at an acceptable level. In no case do not confuse it with the usual C21, it is much weaker. Note that it is not necessary to overpay for the older C25 model. They differ in battery and cameras, 13 MP versus 48 MP, but in practice the difference is minimal. Entry-level processors are simply not capable of processing photos at the level that you feel the advantage of a large sensor. Specifications of Realme C21Y are: it has a display of 6.5 inches, IPS 60 Hz and brightness of 400 nits. It has a processor Unisoc T610, 8 cores of processors, 2 A75 and 6 A55. It also has a 4GB of RAM and 64GB of memory, and along with that a separate micro SD slot. It has network support of 4G, Wi-Fi 802.11n and Bluetooth 5.0. It also has a 13 megapixel camera, 2 MP macro and 5 MP front. Battery is of 5000 mAh with 10 watt charging. It also features NFC 3.5mm and micro USB. The dimensions of this phone are 76 by 164 by 9.1mm, weighing 200 grams. Realme C30. The latest Realme C30 model has a slightly different T612 processor and UFS permanent memory. Due to this, applications open and work faster, but the video core is not so productive. The game like Genshin Impact will slow down. The main reason you will want this smartphone is its design. In black, you get a practical plastic cover that is pleasant to the touch. In blue and green, the lid has a large relief. In any case, the smartphone can be carried out without a case. It will definitely not slip out of the hands. The specifications of Realme C30 are: it has a display of 6.5 inches, IPS 60 Hz and brightness of 400 nits. It also has a processor Unisoc T612 along with 8 cores, 2 A75 and 6 A55. The Realme C30 also has a 4GB of RAM and 64GB of memory along with a separate micro SD slot. Network support given by Realme C30 is 4G, Wi-Fi 802.11n and Bluetooth 5.0. 8 MP camera, 5 MP front camera, 5000 mAh battery and 10 watt charging. It also features 3.5mm FM radio and micro USB. The dimensions of Realme C30 are 75.6 by 164.1 by 8.5mm, weighing 182 grams. Samsung Galaxy A03. Couple of years ago, Samsung could hardly offer a decent budget phone. But now, everything has changed. Samsung does not want to lose a decent market share, and A03 is proof of this. The A02 had an old 28nm processor, little memory, and did not support 5 GHz Wi-Fi. The A03 has been noticeably upgraded. It has a 12nm T606 processor. The main version has enough memory, 4GB RAM and 64GB memory, and even a dual-band Wi-Fi module. The fingerprint scanner has not yet been added. Although the camera received a good sensor, this is not enough for good pictures. The lens block is the simplest and soaks the picture a little bit, and the software processing seems to be completely absent. The situation is similar with the front camera. In general, this is a good phone with a fast processor. It will suit school children or pensioners very well. This is facilitated by the proprietary One UI core shell. It works stably and is no longer so different from the full-fledged version for old devices. Specifications of Samsung Galaxy A03 are: display of 6.5 inches, IPS 60 Hz, brightness of 400 nits, Unisoc T606 processor, 8 cores, 2 A75 and 6 A55. It has a memory configuration of 4GB of RAM and 64GB of memory, along with a separate micro SD slot. It supports 4G, Wi-Fi 802.11 AC and Bluetooth 5.0. It has cameras of 48 megapixel and a 5 megapixel front camera, 5000 mAh battery and 7.8 watt charging, 3.5mm jack and micro USB. Dimensions 75.9 by 164.2 by 9.1 millimeters, weighing 196 grams. Tecno Spark 8C. The Tecno Spark 8C model boasts a large 90Hz screen and small bezels. The T606 processor not only supports high screen frequency but also has good power efficiency. Wireless interfaces keep up with the times. There are both Wi-Fi, 5 GHz and NFC. The specifications of Tecno Spark 8C are: a display of 6.6 inches, IPS 90 Hz and brightness of 400 nits. Processor Unisoc T606, 8 cores, 2 A75 and 6 A55. Memory configuration of 4GB of RAM and 64GB of internal memory, along with separate micro SD slot. Cameras are 13 megapixel, 0.8 MP macro and 8 MP front camera. It has a battery of 5000 mAh with 10 watt charging. It also features NFC, 3.5mm jack and micro USB. The dimensions are 76 by 164.6 by 9 millimeters, weighing 193 grams. Infinix HOT 12 Play. Infinix smartphones are among the largest on the market. Consider this when buying an Infinix phone. The smartphone is up to date with a 90Hz refresh rate, Wi-Fi 802.11 AC and a Type-C port. Firmware from Infinix is not the most stable yet, but they have their advantages. For example, call recording starts without sound notification and is not distracting. The version with NFC will be a little more expensive. Then decide for yourself whether you need contactless payment. The specifications of Infinix HOT 12 Play are a display of 6.82 inches, IPS 90Hz, brightness of 350 nits, along with a processor of Unisoc T610, 8 cores, 2A75 and 6A55, 4GB of RAM and 64GB of internal memory with separate micro SD slot. It supports network 4G, Wi-Fi 802.11 AC and Bluetooth 5.0. Cameras 13 megapixels and 8 MP front camera. It has a battery of 6000 mAh and 10 watt charging. It also features 3.5mm jack, FM radio, USB Type-C. Dimensions are 77.6 by 170.5 by 8.3mm, weighing 195 grams. Tecno Spark 8P. Among phones under $200 and 16,000 Indian rupees, the late 2021 Spark 8P model stands out. It has good characteristics, while Tecno Spark did not even stint and put a decent camera from Samsung. Among the models presented here, this smartphone takes some of the best shots. Tecno Spark 8P has a good Full HD screen and Helio G70 processor. For everyday tasks, this combination will be very pleasant, but not so much for games. The processor struggles with high resolution in heavy games like PUBG and Genshin Impact. The specifications of Tecno Spark 8P are a display of 6.6 inches, IPS 60Hz, brightness of 400 nits, processor Helio G70, 8 cores, 2A75 and 6A55, 4GB of RAM and 64GB of internal memory with separate micro SD slot. Network support 4G, Wi-Fi 802.11 AC and Bluetooth 5.0. It has 15 megapixel cameras and 8 MP front camera. The battery is 5000 mAh with 10 watt charging. It also features NFC, 3.5mm jack, FM radio, micro USB with dimensions 76.1 by 164.5 by 8.9mm, weighing 194 grams. Infinix HOT 11S NFC. In terms of performance, the Infinix HOT 11S is a cut above its price. A bright screen with a clear picture and a high resolution, powerful processor, stereo speakers, a Type-C connector, fast charging and much more. So what's the catch? It's the firmware. Stereo speakers do not have a smooth volume control, either loud or quiet. The notification LED does not always work. It does not notify about messages from instant messengers. And if software jams are largely corrected by installing custom GSI firmware, then you will have to put up with the color quality of the screen. It goes into blue shades and overestimates the contrast. The main sensor is the same as that of the Spark 8P. But this time the camera blurs too many details. If you are not afraid to flash your phone, then feel free to take HOT 11S NFC. Otherwise, you either have to put up with minor bugs or take something simpler, but with more stable software from Realme, Samsung or Redmi. Specifications of Infinix HOT 11S NFC are 6.78-inch display, IPS 90Hz, a brightness of 500 nits. It has a processor Helio G88 with 8 cores, 2 875 and 6 A55. The memory configuration is 4GB of RAM and 64GB of memory with a separate micro SD slot. It supports 4G, Wi-Fi 802.11n and Bluetooth 5.0. The cameras are 50 megapixel and 8 megapixel front camera. There is a 5000 mAh battery with 18 watt charging. The features are NFC 3.5mm jack, FM radio, LED identification, stereo speakers and USB Type-C. The dimensions of Infinix HOT 11S NFC are 77 by 168.9 by 8.8 millimeters. It weighs 205 grams. Xiaomi Redmi 10C. It seems that Xiaomi decided to peep at Infinix, otherwise it is very difficult to explain the length of 170mm. Moreover, the hardware component of the smartphone is at a good level. What is the Snapdragon 680 processor worth? Maybe the processor cores do not differ from competitors, but the video core and signal processor have an advantage. This means that you will run any modern games and photos will receive good processing. The rest of the specifications will not disappoint either. Fast UFS internal memory, 5GHz Wi-Fi, NFC and a Type-C connector. The screen unfortunately is only 720p. The pixel density is standard for this resolution, 270 ppi, and for those who like to play, this is only at hand, since games need to draw half as many pixels as compared to 1080p, hence the good frame rate. The specifications of Xiaomi Redmi 10C are a display of 6.71 inches, IPS 60Hz and brightness of 400 nits. Snapdragon 680 processor, 8 cores, 4 A73 and 4 A53 processors. Memory configuration of 4GB RAM, 64GB internal memory and separate micro SD slot. It supports network 4G, Wi-Fi 802.11 AC and Bluetooth 5.0. 50 megapixel camera, 5 megapixel front camera, 5000 mAh battery and 10 watt charging. It also features NFC, 3.5mm jack, FM radio and USB Type-C. The dimensions are 76.6 by 169.6 by 8.3 millimeters and weighs 190 grams. Do let us know what do you think are the best phones under $200 or under 16,000 Indian rupees in the comments below. Thanks for watching and please don't forget to like and subscribe to Your News Ticker Central.